When you got called up to go into the war, how did you feel and what was your first reaction?
I knew we were going to go to war. So, we kind of expected it. My family expected it. Well, you're not happy to go to war, but you're ready to go to war and do what I was trained to do.
Do you remember who your best friend was and the person you looked up to during the Afghanistan war?
Well, my best friend was my surgical partner. He was in a combat support hospital, which is called a CASH, CSH, called CASHs. You have an orthopedic surgeon and a general surgeon as a two trauma surgeon. So we were partners on all of the big injuries that would come through our trauma bay. He was a great partner, and we became very good. Trauma surgery is like a sport. It's very chaotic, and it's very rough, very tough, and you gotta know how to depend on your partners. It's too busy, too bloody, too chaotic to always be nice. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you gotta be rough, just like you do in a sport.
So was the CASH the place that you worked in during war?
I worked for a combat support hospital at Helmand Province, Afghanistan.
You received the Bronze Star, right?
I did.
When you received it, what was going through your mind?
I was more excited to go home to my family, to be quite honest. And I don't really think, I was really deserving of anything. I just was literally just doing what my job was, right?
Yeah. Can you tell us what your job was in the Afghanistan war?
So I was an orthopedic trauma surgeon. I was stationed in a very, very bad part of Afghanistan. My job was to take care of casualties. We took care of American casualties. I took care of Afghanistan National Army, which were, on the American side, and we also took care of terrorists and Taliban that were injured.
Do you remember what caused the Afghanistan war to occur?
Of course, 9/11.
Yeah. Are you able to explain some of the worst injuries that you saw?
We treated a lot of folks that were blown up in IEDs, improvised explosive devices. So there were bombs that were put on the roads, underneath things that you wouldn't think were there. A little boy was blown up in his pecan orchard by a bomb the Taliban left, and he lost both. Both of his legs were blown off. He was in our hospital for 3 or 4 months.
Aww.
His belly was blown up a lot, and we had to do probably 50 different surgeries.
Aww.
Soldiers blown up with missing arms and legs from the Afghan soldiers. They didn't have proper eye protection.
Yeah.
So I had to take out a lot of eyes that were blown up.
Ooh.
A lot of people didn't make it, but really it was really a lot of the IED injuries.
Can you describe the scenery?
Well, CASH is a place where the helicopters land right outside with all the injured soldiers. Sometimes it was just 1 or 2, sometimes it was 50 or 70, which is called a mass casualty. You have to pick the most injured that are survivable. You got to pick, because there's only a couple surgeons there, right? We had, I think, 4 surgical teams. So they bring them in from the helicopter, or it's the general surgeon, the orthopedic surgeon, the anesthesiologist, and then an emergency room doctor, and various nurses. And you don't really take the time necessary to be looking at facial expression. You just take care of it, see what's happening. You got to figure out why this person is dying. So you just kind of go to work.
Approximately how many soldiers did you operate on per day?
Every day changed, right? Depending on what the climate was outside, if it was a big battle going on, we would receive a lot of casualties. There was a time where a vehicle-borne IED, so it's called a VIED, rammed into a NATO country's camp and exploded, and there was 60, 70 injuries all at one time coming into our so we were unfortunately very busy.
Do you have to go back to the war, and what are your thoughts on this?
Yes, I'm supposed to go to Iraq in February. You know, it's my job.
Yeah.
I mean, the only bad part is, well, there's a lot of bad parts, but I don't, obviously, you know me, I don't want to leave my family, but,
Yeah.
you know, I'm ready to do what I'm been trained to do.
Yeah.
And that's take care of people that are doing the fighting, right?
Mhm. What was your best accomplishment or accomplishments in the war?
Well, you know what? We kept people alive that would have been dead if they weren't at our cache. I can only say that.
Yeah.
We always brag that if they came in with a pulse, you were going to leave with a pulse. It's just we felt we were as good as any trauma team on earth.
What was the happiest and saddest moments that you experienced during the war?
Going home. Leaving and going home, right?
What should people today remember about your surgeon experiences and your fellow surgeons' experiences and the impact you guys had on the war?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, nothing about you just remember to, when you see these young people enlisting and serving their country, you got to remember that you may not support the war, you may not support the president, but you got to support your soldiers when they're home, and give back a little to your country as well, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're not in uniform, give back.
Did you make any mistakes that you regret, and what would you do to change those mistakes if you had to relive the moment?
There's no right or wrong answers in surgeries, and when somebody comes in blown up, I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do, and you know, as you see more and more casualties, you evolve your ways and your methods and your techniques.
Yeah.
So as a it's not so much me personally my mistakes and are just my ways. It's medicine, battlefield medicine evolves year to year to year as we study the previous years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the stuff we learn on the battlefield, we sort of share with civilian trauma centers to make them better.
Do you think it was appropriate, or like, did you feel that you should like help out the Afghanistans and like the terrorists during war?
First of all, yes, we are mandated to do that by the Geneva Convention Accords, that you treat everybody that comes into your combat hospital equally. And I can tell you, Americans, we do it 100% equally.
Yeah.
So if there was an American soldier with a gunshot wound to a leg and a Taliban shot through the chest, we would treat the Taliban first.
Yeah.
To save his life, and then the American second. And to be honest, treating Taliban and other terrorists, I think it was fairly easy, to be quite honest, because when somebody comes into your trauma bay injured, you really doesn't really matter. You just take care of them.
Yeah.
And you let people figure out the good and the bad parts of that stuff. It's very easy to do that as a doctor, because that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we train to do, and it's pretty black and white in my opinion.
Yeah.